Hi there. Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet podcast for women who wonder. Frankly, as we go through life, I'm sure we wonder about a great deal. First as little kids, then as adolescents, then as young women, then as transitional women. What are we calling ourselves these days? And then you get to this point in life, or my point in life, when you're postmenopausal and wondering what's next. Wondering if the parade already passed you by. Join me, Wonder Wendy. I'm going to be your host as we talk about some of these unique challenges that face women today in a new millennium, going through menopause and trying to live a rich, full life. There might even be a few men and younger women that want to listen in too. That's okay. But there's a roller coaster and we're all on it. And I'm going to be your guide to help you figure out when you should close your eyes, when you should hang on, and maybe we'll explore some ideas for what works for you if it doesn't work for me, or vice versa. So join the conversation, pick up your favorite beverage, and we'll talk to you soon. Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet.
Hey there. Yeah, I just stopped at Starbucks and I have myself a little bit of a mocha for an afternoon pick-me-up. And I hope you have your beverage so we can settle in together and have a candid conversation. I picked up this cup of coffee on my way home from a photo shoot, being photographed for a magazine. It's a little photo shoot, not a big deal, but boy, when you're getting ready for that, you look so hard at yourself. Do I have bags under my eyes? What's going on? Oh, what is this going in on my neck? I don't know about you. I do the same thing every time I look at a photo of myself or look in the mirror. I immediately zoom in on every single flaw. It doesn't matter if it's the best picture in the world of me, I will find something wrong with it. So if you feel that way, I totally connect. And by the way, what's the worst of every photo? This, the neck right here, because the neck doesn't lie. I remember a few years ago, we were watching some sort of TV news show. And I said something about the anchor probably being about 50 to 55 years old. My husband said, no way, she's probably 40. I said, she's 50 to 55 years old. He did a little quick internet research. And guess what? She was 54 years old. And he said, how did you know? I said, the neck never lies. Unfortunately, we can do all we want, but the neck never lies. But what I really want to talk about is that we often see the flaws before we see the whole person. We're our own worst critics. And as we age, I know I don't like saying aging, but it happens and things change. And we're not as happy with who we used to be because we like that smooth baby skin, or we like those plumpful lips, or those plumpful cheeks that we don't have anymore. But here's the strange thing. Other people often don't see what we're seeing. We're our own worst critics. So the other day, ironically, I'd already started notes about this episode. And an acquaintance posted on Facebook 2 pictures of herself separated by a few different pounds, maybe 30, 40 pounds. Her body looked great in the lighter picture. But I looked at the picture of her heavier, and I saw a smiling woman with a gleam in her eye. She looked lovely. And I had to comment on that. I really like your smile in that picture on the left. Because it was a beautiful picture. Was it the person she wanted to be? No, that's why she's worked really hard to lose the weight, to be healthier. But she was still beautiful. And I thought it was important to say that. Now, the other day, I took a picture of myself, and a friend made a joke. Just as I was about to take the selfie, you know how that happens. So instead of getting this perfectly posed selfie with the right angle and the phone, you hold the phone a little bit higher. There's all these tricks of how you're supposed to do it. Extend your arm. There's a whole knack to it. But I get it in the right position. Instead of that beautifully framed photo I meant to take, it was one of me laughing. So my eyes are crinkling, my face is kind of twitched up. And I showed it to my girlfriend thinking she was just going to laugh at it. And she said, that's exactly how I see you, joyful. So maybe sometimes our flaws are what make us beautiful. Or maybe they're not flaws at all. They are our life, our warmth, our personality, that perfect, let's put that in air quotes, version of ourselves. Well, that's not really perfection at all. It's icy and it's cold. That's not what anyone wants to connect to. So really, when we look at that photo, we aren't looking at the same woman, not even remotely. Which raises an interesting question. Who is seeing the truth? One of my cousins, who is kind of a closet photographer, every so often she pulls out the camera and then takes all these gorgeous photos of everyone in the room. Once she said the difference between a good photo and a bad photo is about 10 years. Think about it for a minute. If it doesn't make sense immediately, it'll make sense in a minute. You look back at old photos you didn't necessarily like at the time. And that youthful, jubilant person you were looks back at you. And you think, oh, why did I think I looked bad? That's why I tell people, don't delete a photo because you think it's awful. Yes, there are some that are awful. And I do occasionally delete some photos. But I don't just delete or shred a photo on gut instinct. Because sometimes they're just not the way you see yourself. And somebody else might think it's beautiful. And you need to realize you were beautiful and didn't know it. And maybe that's still true today when you're being your own worst critic. We often appreciate our beauty only in hindsight. And if it fits the moment, it's perfect. You just came off a long mountain hike and you're sweaty and your hair is dripping and maybe you're a little dirty and you're not wearing glamorous clothes, you're not wearing makeup, but you're exhausted and happy. So, yeah, that's not going to make the cover of Vogue ever. But is it still a beautiful picture? Is it still a beautiful memory? Are you grateful you have it 10 years from now? Think about it that way and stop auto-tuning everything. By auto-tuning, I mean using the filters on your cameras to make yourself more perfect because you're just making yourself less real. And a lot of people are doing that these days. I look at their pictures and I think, you don't actually look like that. What are you doing? It's kind of crazy. So what photos today will we wish we had 10 years from now? Something to think about. As you know, I take a lot of pictures. I love preserving my moments. It's fun with my phone. I get some modeling opportunities, so I get some really gorgeous photos of myself. Not all of them are gorgeous. Some we do make disappear. In all honesty, some of the best modeling shoots are hundreds of photos for just a handful of great pictures. But there's something else. The boudoir shoot. Have you ever heard of that? It gets a bad rap because a lot of people think it's about being sexy and wearing lingerie or being naked. And if that's the way you want your boudoir shoot to be, it's your shoot. Control the narrative. But I would encourage you to do a boudoir shoot. Get out there and get comfortable in your skin. Not with some rando. Don't go to I hate to say this because there may be lovely people doing this out of shopping malls, but don't go to a shopping mall kiosk for a boudoir shoot. Meet a photographer that you like and you're comfortable working with. I did one last fall, and the thought was that this was for my husband. So I was very strategic about this. And I worked with a female photographer who I've worked with in the past. So I knew I could be comfortable with her. And I had a makeup artist who I'd worked with in the past. And she actually works with a business that does boudoir photography. So if you happen to be in my area and need a good established business that does that, I can make a recommendation. But in my case, I worked with a photographer I knew, and I got this one particular makeup artist in. And these shoots were for my husband. They were all very tasteful. And what I said I wanted, I looked at the great painting masters, and I pulled out a few different poses that I thought looked artistic and beautiful, and asked her if we could recreate those as photographs as a gift for my husband. Well, at first I was very shy about it. And then she helped me get more comfortable, and we took some lovely photos, and they are all artistic photos. None of them are raunchy or nasty, but if that's what you want, I'm not going to judge you. This is for you. This is not for anybody else. It's about feeling beautiful in your own skin, about feeling beautiful in your own being. And when you're working with the right team, it makes a huge difference. So anyway, fast forward. At first, I was very reserved, and only a few photos that never showed anything got shown to anybody. And then I was kind of like, this is gorgeous. And I am 59 years old. Wow. You know what? When I'm 80 in a nursing home, I'm going to make this the biggest poster you've ever seen. It is going to be in my room. And I'm going to look at the employees and say, that's me. You like those tits? I mean, I will, probably. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see how scandalous I am in a nursing home at whatever age. But I have that now. And it made me feel so beautiful in my body. And it was delightful. So now I have a painter who's doing a painting of me based on those photos. But I met with another artist recently, and I said, wow, wouldn't it be interesting if you did another painting or drawing, because he doesn't always work with paints. He often works with pencils and pens in your style. And we contrasted the two against each other. Would you be willing to do that? He said, yes, of course I would. So I started showing him some of the photos. At first, a little timidly, because obviously I'm showing this man who is a friend parts of me that he's not usually seeing. And he studies them quietly. And he picks one in particular that I kind of, like that one. Because on that one, you kind of see a little roll down here where my abs are not what I would like them to be. Not that my abs have ever been what I'd like them, six pack is not part of my vocabulary. Well, I can talk about it when I see it on others, but not for me. It's never been a descriptor for me. At best, I wasn't poochy, puffy. But, there are a couple rolls that don't want to go away no matter how much weight I lose, because I have 59-year-old skin, and 59-year-old skin doesn't snap the way 30-year-old skin does or 20-year-old skin does. It just happens. But he's looking at that one photo. And I am so uncomfortable. I mean, really, really uncomfortable. And then he says, did I forget to mention that he has a French accent? That is so sexy to see a woman looking soft and beautiful. That's the tea we're drinking. No, that's another reference. Anyway, it hit me. I saw something that needed to be fixed when I look at that picture. And he saw softness and beauty in a very French artist sort of way. He wasn't correcting the photo. He was correcting my perspective. He didn't know he was doing it. But I'm so grateful to him for that moment, that I could see myself suddenly as a Renoir instead of something wasn't pretty to me. I could feel good about myself. And that moment made me wonder how many other things about myself I've been misreading all these years. And I bet you've done the same, because it's so easy to judge ourselves, especially in a world where people are posting overly corrected photos, where they can elongate their legs and minimize their bellies and hide that neck, which, oh my God, that neck. Nora Ephron talked about it years ago. She was so right. We need to stop doing that to ourselves. We are beautiful women, whether it's classic beauty or internal beauty. We are beautiful. And of course, this self-hatred, which we really can't call it anything else because we're working on our self-love now, but we have experienced self-hatred. Well, we know where that comes from. We're looking at anti-aging ads in our social media, in our print media, on TV, that feature women in their 20s, women who don't need anti-aging products. We have 20-year-olds getting Botox because they're worried about wrinkles. What? It's crazy. And we're comparing ourselves to people's perfect photos and not the photos when, like I said, they just went on a 10-mile hike. They look great because they're having a good time. So many unrealistic beauty comparisons. Not only that, some of us were just born differently. I mean, I'll never look like a 5'10" Victoria's Secret model because, well, I'm 5'6" and my skeletal system is larger than theirs. And you've got your own reality. What are your leg lengths? What is your shoe size? You know, we all have something. Why do we think aging is something to fight instead of something that reflects life? Yes, moisturize, take good care of your body, take good care of your skin. But you know what? That skin's going to get a little more lax as the years go by. Just remember, we are looking at women who haven't aged yet, telling us and selling us products to stop aging. We can't stop aging. And really, who told us we were supposed to look like that? Somewhere along the way, we absorbed a definition of beauty that may never have been ours to begin with. Flashback to college. There was a t-shirt that went around campus. Maybe it was a sweatshirt, but it had a list of top 10 great college lies. You know, the bullet point list, just like a Letterman show thing. And one of them was, I wear sweats because they're comfortable. Ooh, well, the reality was we all know we were hiding the freshman 15. It's a typical thing. We aren't eating as healthy because we have the opportunity to get into other things. We're maybe sitting more around the college dorm. A lot of people do it. Your clothes don't fit as well anymore and you slide into the sweats. It's also more convenient for getting to class in a rush to throw on sweats. But the reason it was funny was we knew the real reason we were wearing sweats. Of course, when we're honest with ourselves and look back at that picture of that freshman 15, how many times in your life have you looked back at that picture and said, I wish I were as skinny as I was when I thought I was fat back then? Did you hear that one? I wish I were as skinny now as I was when I thought I was fat back then. Because you probably were beautiful and you were young and active. I was going out dancing on a regular basis. So, you know, but that just goes to prove that our perception of ourselves has always been distorted by societal expectations of who we thought we should be, of what we should be. So maybe what we're dealing with right now isn't traditional dysmorphia. maybe we're just not seeing ourselves inaccurately, but maybe we simply haven't updated our definition of beauty. Now, dysmorphia is when you look in the mirror and you see a fat person, even if you're anorexic, like you are bone thin and you still see a fat person that needs to lose weight. That is dysmorphia. But if we haven't updated our definition of beauty, we're also not seeing ourselves as beautiful. This face, which isn't the same face I had 30 years ago, has a depth that comes with knowing, that comes with age, and spending a little bit of time in a makeup chair learning how to highlight my best features. There's something to that too. And there are stories in our faces. The scar that you got when you fell, whatever it might be. There's lived experience behind those lines and the changes that happen. I'm going to be so bold as to say that I may actually be more beautiful today than I was 30 years ago. You know, I don't look as young as I did back then. But I would love to have a smoother neck, and these jowls, need to do something with these jowls. What's going on there? When did that appear? But now I have wisdom and I have confidence. Boy, do I have a story to tell. And I have presence. And I find that attracts people when I walk in a room. It's not because I'm the most attractive woman in the room, but I do get attention because of my presence. And why would I want to erase the life that made me the way I am today? You know, you've all seen those time travel shows and you change one little thing and it's no longer the same life. So many things cascade from that one domino, that one butterfly effect. So I encourage you to look at your own reflection, whether it's in a mirror or a photograph, and realize that that image that you see in the mirror in the photograph may not be the problem. That may be the story you tell yourself when you look into that face. Talk to a friend and ask for feedback. And if they give you negative feedback, you know what? You don't have to talk to them anymore. Because you know what? I've seen that happen. And that person, we're not coming in. Maybe eventually. Right now, I saw some truth in them about their bitterness and their personal view that had nothing to do with the way I looked. So when you look at that photo or that image of yourself and the others around you, look for the joy, look for the spark in the eyes, look for the evidence of a life being well lived. After all, the goal was never to remain unchanged. If that's what you're aiming for, you're in for a world of hurt. As bucket listers, the goal is to live a full life. And that may mean scars. That may mean laugh lines. That may mean slightly less than perfect photos when you're covered with mud because you just had a blast. And if we've lived well, shouldn't the mirror show it? Shouldn't the photograph show it? So once again, maybe that image in the mirror or the photograph isn't the problem. Maybe the problem is the stories we've been telling ourselves when we look at it. Maybe we've been trained to zoom in on the wrong things. The line that wasn't there before, the neck that tells the truth about time, and the parts that don't look the way they used to. But the truth is, those things are also evidence of that bucket list life that make you full of wonder or wonderful. Keep loving, keep laughing, keep showing up, keep becoming. And maybe the next step isn't fixing what we see when we see ourselves in a mirror or photo. Maybe it's learning to see it differently. Because sometimes it takes an artist to remind us that what we thought is a flaw is actually softness. Look for the beauty. Look for the life. Oh, and if there's a woman in your life who you think is beautiful, not necessarily the cover girl beautiful kind, but the kind of beautiful where her smile lights up a room, or there's just something about her that you've always loved, her laugh, her voice, her style, send her this episode. Because chances are when she looks in the mirror, she's not seeing what you see. And sometimes the most wonderful thing we can do for each other is to help someone see themselves a little more clearly. Oh, I'm really glad we had this conversation. And until next time, this is Wonder Wendy, reminding you that the bucket list life isn't about perfection. It's about living. Have a wonderful day, bucket listers. We'll talk to you next week.
Like what you heard here today? Then we should be friends. I suggest you join my Facebook group. It's a good way to connect. We can have a conversation. Ask me questions, whatever you want to do. It is called the Wonderful Bucket List Life. That's Wonder-Full Bucket List Life. Be a bucket lister and join me on this adventure. Or you can go to my webpage, which is Wonder Wendy and Friends. Join the mailing list, learn about the book I wrote, adventures that are coming up in the future, and other podcasts. I look forward to talking to you soon, and stay hydrated. Have a great day.